I know you're thinking the Red Room scene from...
No one's thinking the Red Room scene, Phil. That's not like the
There you go. That's one way to start. All right, hello. We're the Amateur Bros. This is going to be episode 1. There we go. We're going to be kicking off with our top 5 Star Wars films. So, Joe, you go ahead and kick it off for us first here.
All right, I'll start. Okay, I'm going to do my honor mentions, run through those real quick. I have Phantom Menace and the new Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Ooh. There's honorable mentions. So, starting off with 5 is Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi. Just classic.
Yeah.
It's just like a classic.
Yeah.
You kind of have to put some classics on there. 4, Rogue One.
Ooh. Okay, well, later. I'll let you continue, but we'll get you will get some criticism from this side.
Okay. And then 3rd would be Episode 4, New Hope. That's a classic.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the best storylines. Kind of not why it's 30 is probably because
it's a classic.
It's classic,
a
but
classic.
like the duel is like when you think about it, it's like but when you watch it the first time, you're like, that's Star Wars. That's awesome. I mean, that's like, and then number 2 and number 1, man, they're both like. Some days I'm just like putting them back and forth. So I have Episode 5, The Revenge of the Sith. That one's great because it's like when you watch it, you're like the first opening scene is Hoth, and you have like the snow, and then you have the villains are coming in with these big machines and just going boom boom, and you're like, how the heck? And then you have the whole scene with Luke training, and then the duel at the end with his, and then we figure out that Vader is Luke's father, and then we're all like, what? So, and then this may or may not be a shocker for some of you, but The Revenge of the Sith I have as number 1, Episode 3. And that was, you watch that, you're just like, bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
I mean, it starts out with, Dooku, Anakin and Dooku and Obi-Wan dueling. Mm-hmm. The whole, flying in space. And then you have, one of the best lines, I think, hello there. General Kenobi. There you go. It's just like duel after duel after duel. And it's just like, and then you also finish off why Anakin turned to the dark side. Like, it kind of like, you see why he did.
Completes the arc.
Yeah,
right.
completes the arc.
And it's a very, very nice fitting end to that trilogy.
Yeah, for that trilogy, yes.
Definitely concluded very
Incredible.
nice. Very nice.
Great list.
Honestly, my list is not very too differently from that. If almost at all.
Good list. Good list.
Almost at all. Almost at all.
Yeah. It's good if we have the same spots.
Good list with one exception.
I will say that honestly, like the biggest critique I have of that is that you have Episode 9 is your honorable mentions. That's my biggest critique of the whole thing because I just did not like Episode 9. So that's.
Well,
I was surprised that he had that.
I liked
too.
it.
You really liked that movie?
I liked it as a movie. The problem is I don't think it fit with the trilogy. Like as a movie itself, it's a great movie. It would be honestly, it would be number 5 if Last Jedi and Force Awakens were better. It, honestly, because it doesn't fit like when you look at the other like Last Jedi, or not the Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi. It fits. It's a perfect ending to that. Then you have The Revenge of the Sith, perfect ending. And you have this, you're like, did we end something, or is this like Episode 2? Like it was like.
I agree. I agree to the point that,
and then
it's not the right ending to that trilogy.
Yeah.
Is it the ending? Is the question I have. Is there any?
I don't want to see any more of that saga.
I don't want to. Really.
I don't want to see any more.
Those movies are terrible. That's how we can all agree. Even though it ended poorly, it's like, get rid of it. Start over. I just didn't know. I'm done with it.
It's been a rough decade for Star Wars. In
so much
my
promise.
Promise?
So much promise.
Technology, we have promise. In terms of
Rogue One was great.
Was
I think it's a great intro into Phil's top 5. Let's segue into it. Segue into Phil's top 5.
Just explain the Rogue One love to me.
Oh,
Joe.
Fred?
Why do you? What is the Rogue One?
What it really reminds me of is like it's the Star Wars theme. It's like it's the best story out of all of them. It has an actual good plot, and there's like, there's things you can fit into it, but like.
I think it really shadows a lot of what New Hope is. It takes just a bunch of ragtag characters with totally different backgrounds, totally different perspectives, and it mashes them into one team with one common goal in mind, which is of course a goal that shouldn't be able to be completed by this group of characters. But they end up having to get together with conflicts and all whatnot. And what's even cooler is that you don't actually see them; they don't get to see their victory. You know, it's the whole movie is a big sacrifice. Tragic. Where so of the other movies, you know, these characters are going and going. Many of you may not survive, and that's right. But all the characters that die are characters you don't care about. Oh no, there goes Red 2. There he goes. He blew up in flames. You know. But in this one, you have to watch each one of them go in their own sacrificial way, and it's cool to follow each of them with their characters all the way up. I think that they did a good enough job explaining their character and their story without having them all have their own individual movies, without having them had 2 movies prior. I mean, I knew more about these characters than I feel like I know about almost any of the characters in the new trilogy. And I saw them for 3 movies.
I think we defended Rogue One enough.
Yeah, I think that was...
Let's go, Phil.
I asked for it, I got it.
You got it.
I agree to disagree.
That's fair.
It's a good movie. It has good parts. But no, I guess I'll go with my list. So 1 for me, or not number 5 for me is Attack of the Clones.
That's a hot take, and
is this a hot take?
It's a hot take.
I will defend this movie in a weird way. It has terrible writing, terrible dialogue. The green screens are atrocious. Like, you can literally see the screen sometimes, I think. It has so many bad things about it, and yet I love this movie so much. If this movie is on right now, if it was on the other day, I just stopped and was like, oh my gosh, Attack of the Clones. I've got to watch it. I don't know what it is. Nostalgia, something about that movie.
That one definitely has nostalgia for me. That's the reason I put it up.
It's so terrible, but so good. Like, it's so cringy at parts when Anakin just, what are you saying half the time, dude? But it's important because I think without Attack of the Clones, I don't think Revenge of the Sith is that good. I don't think episode 3 was that good. Because I really do feel like as dumb and quirky as Attack of the Clones is, it does start that build up into Anakin just slowly moving away. And he's not all there. You see him slowly deteriorating, his character's deteriorating. And you can see there's all these really important scenes and stuff that happen in that movie, even if they're not done super well. But yeah, that movie has a soft place in my heart. Which moves on to my next one, Revenge of the Sith. A great movie. I mean, I'm with Joe. Joe said a lot of good stuff about this film. It's action-packed, but it never felt like it was too much. Like, when you're watching that film, you're never like, sometimes you see modern action movies and it's like, it's too much. It's just too much. It was always just the right pace with that. I mean, I was always interested, and then there was a little bit of dialogue. And then right back to some awesome scenes. You got Yoda at his best. I mean, what more can I say? It's a great film. It's a great film. But actually, those 2 films, I think, are a completely different tier than my top 3. Call me boring, but Star Wars Return of the Jedi is the 3rd best Star Wars film. This film is very good. I don't think I need to defend the originals to it. It's hard to say how much of this film is good just because it concludes the perfect trilogy. I think that's the main reason why this film is good. It is the perfect conclusion to possibly the greatest trilogy ever made in films. Specific scenes in this movie I love. You gotta love the end with Luke versus Palpatine, the mind games. It actually works when he's trying to trick Luke into like thinking like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? You actually believe for a second, oh my gosh, he might actually like trick Luke into doing something terrible right here. Which I never felt that way with the new films. I never believed the bad guys were going to trick anyone in the most recent.
You never believed the bad guy was
7, 8, 9, and Snoke. I was
loser.
Like, Snoke, yeah, exactly. Snoke's a weirdo. He looks like a dude in a costume. I mean, like, what is that?
Oh my god! No. I don't want to talk about that trilogy's flying. I don't want to talk about episode 8 or 9.
But no, yeah, I love that movie a lot. And then number 2 for me, The Empire Strikes Back.
So is the top three just the
Wait. You got he might put Last Jedi on top.
Oh my! I'm walking away. He puts Last Jedi on.
Blown away. Wait for it.
You gotta watch.
You're gonna be blown away. I don't think I need to talk about The Empire Strikes Back much. Joe said pretty much everything great about it. Hoth alone, all we needed. That could have been a whole movie itself. But then, number one, to blow Dom away. Just kidding. No, it's gonna be A New Hope. A New Hope. The original, the classic. This film, I think it actually does have the best story. I think you guys said Rogue One had one of the best stories. I think A New Hope has the best story because the characters so perfectly line up with the story. You couldn't have like a better synchronization than what they have in the movie. Han, Luke, Leia. The dialogue's great. The writing is great. I don't know who George had write that movie, but it wasn't him, but it was really good. And everything's so funny. It was just a perfect film. I've watched it a million times. It's hard to argue with. It's a boring list, but there it is.
Honestly,
it's not that boring.
It's amazing. It's amazing. New Hope is incredible. And honestly, you can even throw in for where it is in its time.
Yeah.
You know, the way they were able to do ship scenes and they did a lightsaber battle as whatever you want to call it as it is, and just poking each other with the but still, and honestly, it's still about as good, if not better, than the lightsaber battles we got in these last three movies.
Except for the Red Room scene, but yes.
It's not a lightsaber battle. That's all right. It's all right. I know.
Attack of Clones. I actually don't mind Anakin's acting. His dialogue is a little creepy.
That's Joe's hot take.
That's honestly, that movie was a disappointment for me. And this, honestly, if it wasn't like some of the cheesy effects and it wasn't like, it didn't seem like they polished it. Like,
no.
Like when you take Phantom Menace, it looks way more polished. Like even with the pod races. Like then you go to like the Attack of Clones, you're like, what happened? Why are you just using like green screens? Like you can see the screen. Like what? And then you have like you decided not to make any good dialogue. Like it's all like creepy. Like it's like
the best dialogue in that movie was when they weren't speaking.
Yes,
it's the best scenes were when fighting was happening and there's very or no talking sometimes. Like Jango Fett, one of the best characters in the movie because he doesn't talk very much, so we can at least think he's cool.
Yeah, and there's good scenes in there, like Jango fight with Obi-Wan.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It was good.
The Mace Windu fight at the end was kind of boring. It was like, Jango, and he's like, bing, bing.
Yeah.
And then Mace Windu's like, shh.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I would have liked to seen a little more fight.
But it was
from the Mando.
But the one thing I did like is we got to see Boba Fett. Because one of the problems about 6, why I feel like Episode 6 is kind of you just have Boba Fett gets killed like by a blind, like Han Solo is blind and he gets hit. He gets hit.
Falls off and gets
like
what a way to go.
He's the best bounty hunter in the league in the whole galaxy, and he dies like that.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall. You know,
if you look at the legends now, I mean, and before Disney took over, Boba Fett actually did survive.
Yeah, he did survive.
Yes,
but he actually got in the monster twice.
Yeah,
he got in, he got out, and then somehow I forget how he gets back. But he gets back into it, and he survives again, and he gets out of it again.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's one of the cool things about Star Wars. That it was original. It was an original movie. It wasn't based off a book. It wasn't based off a book series. It was its own movie, and they just branched off and like everything is comes off of that one movie. It's just the New Hope, which is a really good reason why you can put it at number one. Is that really did spark everything else, and it holds itself by itself, and then you put everything with it, and it still holds, and you can watch it. It still stands the test of time, and I mean, again, most of the stuff it looks really great for its day.
Yeah,
really good for its day.
Okay, go Sam.
Go Sam. Yeah. Let's hear Sam. Let's hear Sam. I want to see.
Here's some controversy.
Oh Lord have mercy. Here we go. Here we go. Hold my Bible.
Number 5, Rise of the Skywalker.
Wow.
5.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I'm not 100% against that,
take,
but
I had to throw in at least one movie from almost every kind of three trilogy.
Fair.
And honestly, that's the best one of that trilogy.
Yeah, exactly. And
Easily.
I mean, just the fights between Palpatine. I mean, even in the Legends back when they had it, Palpatine did survive, but not like how they talked there. But he did use clones. He did use other things, and they kind of brought that back in this movie, which is kind of cool. But I mean, it still wouldn't be my best movie of all time, but still, it's for a Star Wars movie. It's pretty decent. Even the effects is pretty nice.
Yeah, and the scenery. It hopped from a lot of scenes.
It wasn't like
good.
what was the second one before Last Jedi? Yeah. It wasn't like that when it had a casino scene and then kind of lit off the different trails.
That was so bad. It's
so JJ
I would put
it
last.
Yes, it was, and I liked where they kind of like the good thing about 9 is they actually kind of like was like what's good about the trilogy. It's like the whole like when Rey sees herself as the dark side, and you can see that where Luke in Empire Strikes Back, when he's in the cave and he sees that when he slays Vader in the cave, it's actually him.
Yeah.
That it's like that we all have like this dark side, but we can choose not to be dark. We can choose to be light. We can choose just by our actions. And like especially her, where she's from the dark side. Like she was born in the dark side. She didn't know it, but she had that lineage. And it's like she easily could just like been dark, and she could have easily just destroyed everyone else. Like Kylo was no match to her at that point. She should have been.
He was a pushover.
I will say that it's.
But it also saved Kylo though. Actually, I feel like it saved Kylo because it actually gave him a reason.
I mean, you kind of from watching the movie, you can kind of predict what's going to happen.
Yeah,
That's
it was predictable. That was the big problem.
Except one part. They had me for a second where I thought Chewbacca was dead.
Really?
When that ship blew up, I did feel like for a second I was like, they had me for a second. They definitely had me for a second. So I will give them that.
I'll give the argument that's saying for me. I thought he can't be dead.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
They wouldn't do something like that.
Because they hadn't taken any chances so far. I knew that movie wasn't taking any chances, and I knew that's a risk they weren't willing to take.
It was just,
but it would have been better.
The one thing it did help though with the whole thing where Leia actually did train as a Jedi. I do like they put that because it kind of saves Last Jedi. But like, because like the whole scene where she's like that, and we're like, what? She didn't train. Now you can say at least trains. So like at least you can see in 9 they tried an attempt of cleaning up the bad.
I'm slightly forgiving for episode 9 just because its ceiling was only so good because there was so much to fix from episode 8 that we could only save so much. You could only save so like the ceiling's low. Okay, the ceiling's low. I knew it couldn't be great, and I thought it was okay. I don't want to say it's the worst one. I mean, it won't be in my top 5. Yeah, but I think that's just. I think
it's my 6.
I just think there's so many things wrong with it that it can't be. But that's enough. That's enough of me. I'll have my own segment. You go ahead and hit number 4.
Number 4. That's episode 5, Empire Strikes Back. I mean, just Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker reveal. I mean, that's just one of the highlights of the movie.
Yeah.
Nothing really gets that.
Number 3 is episode 2, Attack of the Clones. I mean,
where'd you say
third?
He put third. Holy crap!
I think partly because of nostalgia. I saw those in theaters when I was young. Just a really kind of great fun movie. I mean, I didn't really like the Boba Fett and Jango Fett because it seemed like it was short. There wasn't enough time to flesh out the character. Except for just kind of Boba Fett just want to have revenge for just Mace Windu cut off the father's head. But I think it could have been explored a little bit better. But overall, it was a pretty good movie. I think I will agree with all you. It's kind of weird seeing Anakin just frolicking around with Padme. Just some of those weird scenes, kind of cringy at some points. But you can also see the human side of Anakin.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the major reasons I want to have that in there.
True.
Yeah.
Number 2, Return of the Jedi. I mean, that was the original conclusion of the story. And also, just one of the parts I really like is when Darth Vader saves his son because he loved him. He loved him enough, and just he wanted to take all that electricity from Darth Sidious, and just wanted to kill him. He was sacrificing himself so he could save Skywalker, and that's just kind of father and son moment. That's just really awesome. And even at the end, where Darth Vader wanted to see his son through his own eyes instead of the machine's eyes. Just having Luke Skywalker take off the helmet to see him. That was a touching moment.
Yeah. I just saw that scene. That was great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Number 1, episode 3, is just the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin Skywalker.
It's amazing.
That's just
It's
great.
amazing.
That's just one of the best that I haven't seen any other times.
Yeah.
And just not really anything that can top it, really,
No.
except for games or something like that. But for movies,
It really is the lightsaber battle we want.
yeah.
That's what you wanted. You wanted from Star Wars. You wanted a great lightsaber battle.
And
That one gives you the best lightsaber battle.
Yeah, it's got acrobats, got force powers.
Why are you looking at me like that, Phil?
One of the best lightsaber battles.
No, I think it's
With the
honestly though,
exception.
but like that movie, like the only other ones I would say would be better would be.
I know you're thinking the Red Room scene. From
No, the Red Room scene, Phil. That's not lightsaber
the
battle.
choreography is beyond belief. It's an art form at that point. The dance off.
But like
Dance of Death.
Phantom Menace with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
That's a really good. That was a
That
good
actually
one.
is, well, yeah, it's
Yeah.
a hot thing. Yeah,
And then General Grievous and Obi-Wan in the same movie.
Yeah.
And then earlier, you could also argue, even though it was short, but it had a lot of meaning, especially at the end.
Oh yeah.
Is
Count Dooku.
yeah, Count Dooku and Anakin.
Yeah, there's a
And
pinnacle
honestly,
moment.
that's one of the reasons why I have Revenge of the Sith at the top.
I mean,
You have
3 major fights.
three major fight scenes, and that's not even including when Yoda fought Sidious and Darth Maul played. Not Darth Maul. Sidious and Mace Windu.
Yeah, there's
It's
also
like, this movie's-
episode 3 is just kind of like the fall of Jedi Order and almost like a balance. Where I mean, obviously you don't have 2 Jedi because there's all these other canon about other people Jedi escaping Order 66, but it's supposed to go back to the original kind of balance because there's only 2 now, Darth Sidious and Vader, and then it's kind of like the other 2 supposedly Obi-Wan and Yoda.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of hinted at just more of a balance of the Force. But
That's good.
so I think instead of going to this in the future Star Wars movies, they're going to go back to the High Republic, which
The
is
Old Republic.
They call it High Republic
Oh, they call
400 years before the Skywalker saga. So that'd be kind of interesting.
Oh,
to see.
they're not going that far back at all. Only 400 years.
Yeah, apparently.
Wow.
So,
In Star
I think
Wars
that's-
time, it's not as long.
Well, but like I thought they were going back like 1,000 because like in Attack of Clones they say 1,000 years of peace. So like
I mean, it'd be
that
cool
means,
to see
like,
the Old
you have-
Republic era, especially with Revan and all that kind of stuff.
oh yeah, because there's more than just
Oh, yeah.
2 Sith.
Yeah, I mean,
There's just, like-
huge.
It's like a Jedi Order pretty much. It's like you have like the Jedi Order that has like thousands of Jedis, and then you have the Sith that have thousands of.
But it would be
of
kind of
Sith.
cool if they do Darth Bane and introduce him in the films. I
Yeah,
mean, I read the books of those and just really evil guy.
He's a really evil.
crazy. Yeah, my brother read those books. He said they're amazing.
Just roll on. It's over to me. Over to me. All
Let's
right.
do it.
So fifth, in 5th place, I have Episode 5. That's where I put it. I mean, it's a very good movie. Very good movie. The Hoth scene is very good. And I guess there's been a lot of talk about that one already. So most of mine's gonna be most of a rundown because I mean we've already defended these and things and such. But very good, a very good number 2 movie. It was a big deal because again, first one was written off of scratch, no books, and so the number 2 had to come off of that, and it had to follow up a huge phenomenon. It was a huge hit. And it's hard to make, especially today, it's hard to make a second movie that can hold up the light to the first one. And I think it does a very good job of continuing that. Very good job. Number 4, I also have Rogue One at number 4. I also have Rogue One at number 4, and I've defended it a lot. And it is a good movie, and it has a lot of nods to how New Hope's story is. The way they run with this group of characters. I mean, I said it earlier before, but yeah, like what you said with that synergy, they try to do it again. They have that group, they put it together. They're different. They're all very different. They have to work together. They have their own agendas and such, but they have to bring it together. And I think it's very good.
There's probably in that movie when the droid dies at the end. That's probably the only time I cry for a droid. It's probably the only time.
I mean, they really. They almost got me with C-3PO, man. His memory's getting waste. But I was already pretty sure that they were going to R2D2 was going to have it back, so I wasn't quite defended.
No risks in that movie. I knew that memory was coming back because I knew that movie number 9.
But it's still a great scene. It's still a great. I'll still give it as a great scene. Though. C-3PO actively goes, okay.
Yeah, it was. It was very nice.
We're talking about the
Episode
Skywalker
9.
Mountain. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I was not even talking about. I'm talking about.
Because you were talking about the droid. That,
You were talking
Yeah.
about.
I said
that.
the only other scene that would make me feel almost. Maybe C-3PO, but I kind of they already had mentioned that R2D2 has a backup, so then you're like,
But it was kind of funny when he did get the backup. He didn't he was like completely lost.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny, and that's I love that the C-3PO is a bigger part. Still didn't make my top 5. Anywho, number 3 is where I'm number 3. I have number 3 as New Hope. I have New Hope at number 3, and I mean, again, we've said a lot of good reasons for number 1 for being a good movie. A great story, great characters. They introduced a bunch of characters to us that we've never heard before, and we don't need movies before. We don't need tons of time to learn these characters. They don't give us a huge background on Han Solo for us to realize the type of character he is. We don't need a long, drawn out scene or two about Leia to understand what kind of character she is. In just a scene or two, you already know what these characters are like, the kind of things that you think this character would do. You already have these assumptions of what these characters wants and dislikes and whatever not. Which is very hard to do, and things that they don't replicate a lot in movies today. Where we need a movie before we do it. We need the show before we do it. We got to use 2 or 3 scenes before we introduce that character. Like it's all drawn out. And they were able to get a ton of information to you really fast and really effective. Number 2, I have episode 6. Episode 6, a great ending, and I also have all 3, in the top 5, and it's because they're very good, and it is because they're very good, and I think what some of the old shows and movies back then did that we don't really do now is they don't rely on the technology to make it a good movie. Today you can obviously throw in a lot of cool explosions and special effects, to make it look awesome. Then you had to work with what you got, which wasn't a lot. And the type of movie it is they're going to different planets, and I mean that's not really done at that time.
Technically, one was a moon.
True. All right. That's no moon. Oh boy, yeah. That's so very good. And of course, the Darth Vader scene is great redeeming, and that really does complete Darth Vader. And it really
completes the whole story.
It really does, and it's very nicely done. And it's great that he ends coming back to the light side like that at that last moment. I mean, but regardless if at the end of the movie you want his Force Ghost to come out as the guy from the prequels or from the originals, that's a debate for another time.
Or both. I think there is copies. There is 2 of them.
Okay, why not? But still, it's a great ending to a great trilogy. And that's why at number 1, a great ending to a great, not as great trilogy, but I have episode 3 as number 1, and that's just we've talked about it, and it's just most of the moments that you like been wanting from Star Wars are in that movie. Yeah. Like character development, big character development moments, they're in that movie. Big lightsaber battles, they're in that movie. You have the baddest of the bad. Darth Sidious reveals himself, shows himself, fights off people. It shows that he's really strong. He's there. You show Yoda finally showing that what he's made of. I mean, he does a little Attack of the Clones, but he really gets to do something in this movie. All these characters get to show them what they're made of. Then you have the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, and you have their best of their best. The music goes with it beautifully. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite track. Battle of Heroes, favorite track. It's just so awesome. I mean, of course, the script. There's moments in it that's not great. That's with all those prequels, but the story's great. It has so many iconic Star Wars moments in it that they're just brilliant, and it's I think it's worthy. I think it's worthy of number 1. Yeah. But anyway, that was nice. And not everyone's list was the exact same, so that's very nice.
Yeah. We did have episode 3 as the first one for
3 of us.
Yeah,
and then that hit the top 4.
But I'm gonna be totally honest though, that's probably most. It's most people. I think
that's
a lot of the people I've talked to say number 3. Yeah. They also I have heard episode 1, and I know episode 6 and 5 are on people's lists as well. So I haven't heard anybody throw the new ones are the prequels, 1 and 2, up on their top 1. So, but there could be certain people that think.
Comment down low if you like the
comment
prequels.
Comment below if you really like the prequels, or if you have a real great fascination for the new ones. That worries me if you do, but but I can't.
I have episode 9 at tied to 6. I probably will put it at 7 when it's all done.
You deserve the hate mail.
If it is number 1, just tell us it's in your top 6, but don't say where. Don't say where. Don't say where. But I think that about wraps it up for us. Unless anyone else has anything else to add before we sign off.
I'm good.
Oh, we're good then.
Seems
all right.
good.
Well, thank you.
I guess if you want us to do this again or with a different movie, maybe Lord of the Rings, maybe or something like that. I mean, or the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's also a good one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's not as big and it's not as many movies, but
if there are suggestions down in the comments, let us know.
Yeah, do more top 5s, do movie discussion. We love that.
It's fun.
All right. Well, thank you for watching, for listening. We'll be tuning in next time. Peace.